And we're back to AlphaCast episode 2. Today, this is going to be a regular sort of formatted podcast. Last time we had to mix things up a little bit because of E3. But normally, we'll start out by introducing everyone. So I'm your host, Jake. With me is Brett, Grant, and Julius. And today, I think we're going to start out by talking about what games we're playing. So this will usually be the first segment of our podcast. So what we're playing. Why don't we start with you, Julius? What are you playing?
Okay, still playing a lot of MLB 14 The Show. Uh, love that game. I'm a big baseball fan, and really I'm enjoying the show, the road to the show mode. Been playing a lot of that. Have my creative superstar looks just like me. He's playing first baseman, and with for the Nationals, so I'm having a good time with that. Also, picked up on the release date. I picked up UFC. So I've been playing that. We'll be in the process of writing a review for that game, but enjoying that as well. I don't definitely want to spoil the review for anybody, but I think the game. I was surprised how much the UFC this EA Sports version plays like the THQ version. I mean, it looks very similar. It feels very similar. And so I think that what it seems to be missing is that EA stamp, or a major type of improvement over what we previously played. It kind of seems like I'm playing the same game I played last year, which I didn't expect, being the fact that it's a whole different company producing.
Yeah. Isn't Bruce Lee is in it now, right?
Yeah,
You can be him.
yeah,
That's pretty cool.
yeah. That's pretty cool. If you pre-ordered it, you were able to unlock Bruce Lee. If you didn't pre-order it, I believe he cost about $5. Yeah, in order to play with him, that's cool. And what's cool with it is that you can play with him in different weight classes. So you get the opportunity to put him up against a few different guys. I definitely the first thing I did when I loaded it up after I played through the tutorial was input the redeem the code in order to use Bruce Lee. So that that's pretty cool. I've enjoyed it. I know I talked to a couple friends of mine who were not they're big martial arts fans, martial enthusiasts on the movies and everything, and they kind of feel strongly that Bruce Lee would never have prove that if he were alive. I guess they're saying. I don't know that. I just know only thing I know about Bruce Lee is the movie. So I'm not. I never practiced martial arts, and I'm not. I don't have the historical or the philosophical understanding of who he was, but I like playing with him on the game. So I think that is definitely one of the pluses I would say about the new UFC game.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. The trailer they showed at E3 with him, I thought was sick. I've never played any of those games,
Mm-hmm.
but I think when the price goes down, I'll probably give this a try because I mean, it sounds like a lot of people love these games. It
Mm-hmm.
sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sorry, Brett. I'll just make this one last statement. The I like the UFC games, and I don't want that to get misunderstood by what I was saying. I do like the UFC games. They feel the characters look amazing. Every character on the game, every player on the game, and I'm a big UFC fan as well. They look and a lot like their real life counterparts. The different fighting styles translate pretty well into the game. The guys that fight a more Muay Thai style, in real life they have that in the game. More wrestling style guys, they have that in the game. So it's realistic as I as realistic as any other fighting title, like fighting sports title, like any other Fight Nights or any other UFC games. It's realistic, and it is a good game. I do think though it's missing some. There's just no amazing thing about the fact that this is a new UFC game and this is now a EA Sports game. It feels like I'm playing an updated a roster update from the previous THQ game.
Yeah, I played the first one when it came out a couple years ago, and I really liked it. I thought it was really realistic, and I thought it was canceled because I didn't like really pay attention to the series after a couple years. But then I saw EA picked it up and made their own version. I think that's really cool because I'm sure it has a big fan base because MMA is such a big sport here. So I'm really glad to see that game is gonna do well.
Did anyone play Fight Night Round 3
Yeah,
for
I
360?
probably put a couple hundred hours
That
into
game was
that.
awesome.
That was so good.
Yeah, all the Fight Night games are awesome, man. I've purchased them all. I like them all.
Mm-hmm.
And this game is made by the Fight Night team. So
Oh,
you
okay.
right, so this is a good game. I don't want to take away from that. It is a good game. It is, and if you're a fan of MMA or you're a fan of of the previous UFC games, you should definitely still pick it up.
Awesome. What about you, Brett? What are you playing?
I downloaded Metroid Fusion off the Wii U Virtual Console. I'm a big Metroid fan, and I'm finally giving it a chance. I think it's excellent. It looks really cool, really fun to play on the gamepad. It's just your typical Metro game, just consistently a strong game with awesome gadgets and a good story. I'm playing Limbo, which I got from the PlayStation Plus. I haven't played that before, and after seeing like the trailer for Inside, I wanted to give Limbo a try. I think it's a really cool game, and I'm really enjoying that so far. And lastly, I'm chugging through Pikmin 3, but I've hit a wall where I'm having a tough boss fight, so I'm like, I'm going to take a little break and eventually go back to it. So that's what I'm playing right now.
Limbo's great. Um, I haven't played much of Pigman. I downloaded it with Mario. I started to, just didn't hold my interest. And Metroid Fusion's awesome. I haven't played that in forever though. All right, Grant. What about you?
Still playing Mario Kart. I think that could last for a long time because it's just so much fun. And recently some Battlefield Hardline beta. It's
Oh yeah,
okay. It just doesn't feel like Battlefield, like kind of Payday-ish. But I don't know how I feel about it.
yeah. I'm not sold on it. It looks like another Battlefield. I was kind of hoping for something more heisty, something more like Payday. But then again, I haven't played it yet, and it's still the beta. So,
Yeah, I played several rounds of the hardline beta. I think that I'm not a big fan of the Battlefield game, so I can't speak to how similar it is play wise to Battlefield. To me, as somebody who doesn't play Battlefield, it looks like a Battlefield game, but it's definitely high. It's almost as if excuse me for saying this, but it's almost as if they just a more popular, or more famous, or more noteworthy studio with more influence and money decided to, okay, let's take Payday's idea for a game and let's capitalize off of it. And and so it has that. It has, I mean, the characters, especially the criminals in the game. They, to me, they look like the guys in Payday 2. Just the way they move in the mask is not. It seems like it's kind of, they look almost way too similar for me. But the brief time I had with the beta that I've played, I played, I don't know, a couple hours worth of of the rounds, either, and it's back and forth. Either you're playing as the police or you're playing as the criminals, whatever they call them. And it's okay, but it's just the beta, so there's still a lot more to see. So I'll definitely be saving some judgment on it until we see the finished product.
Yeah, it
Yeah, I'm really intrigued by this game. I'm sorry, Grant. Go ahead.
it's okay. It's not anything special for me. Like what I've played, like finished product, Battlefield 4 is a better game, and it looks and plays like Battlefield. But like when you play it, you don't like think it's Battlefield.
okay, that's kind of good to hear. I mean, Battlefield 4, I lost interest in because it didn't work for the longest time, and I don't know if it works now, but I just don't want to play anymore. Titanfall came out, and it's like I can't go back to those kind of slower paced first person shooters. As for me, I am playing Tomb Raider, the definitive edition. I picked that up. It was 50% off on Xbox Live.
Oh, wow,
This is the
nice.
third time I'm playing through it. I love that game. It just gets better and better every time I play
Yeah,
through it.
I thought it was an awesome game.
And then I've been playing Max and the Curse of Brotherhood and the Halo Spartan Assault, because they were free. To be honest, not too impressed. Halo Spartan Assault is garbage, basically. But Max and the Curse of Brotherhood it's fine.
Hmm. Now, what is Halo Spartan Assault? I've never
It's
played
like
it.
a top-down shooter.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's kind of interesting, but I don't know. It just felt like Microsoft milking that Halo cash cow.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense.
But it does it well. If you like those kind of stuff, you might like it. I just think it's uninspired and kind of repetitive, to be honest.
Mm.
Let's move on to the news. So I think you got some stuff written down, Brett. Do you want to lead us on that?
Yeah, we got Phil Fish. He created Fez. He had some controversial tweets. Essentially, he was talking about how YouTubers who do Let's Plays, reviews, etc., should give the money they generate to the developers, just Phil Fish. And he said it should go for anybody who Let's Plays any game, reviews any game, and generates money because essentially they're stealing and it's illegal, and he's claiming it's piracy, and he just made a number of controversial tweets. Eventually deleted his Twitter account. It's just really weird, actually. But
Yeah, I don't understand it because didn't he say like you if you can upload gameplay, then why don't you just upload an entire movie? And I think it's because it's interactive. Video games are interactive, so it's not like any other type of media. And then that you make your own experience that everyone will play it differently. And yeah, I don't get it.
I mean, I can understand that since that it could be taking money away from him because I mean he worked on the game for a long time and it's pretty successful and it's a good game. But I mean, people are entitled to view games, make let's plays, and I mean it gets people interested in the game. And I think it was kind of ridiculous instance from
Yeah, like
him.
anyone who
But
watches the Let's Plays are looking like to see if they would like it, if they would like to play it. They don't like look at it instead of I'm gonna watch this instead of playing it, because I don't think that's how people work. But I get it. Yeah, I get it if there's like no commentary, because it doesn't really add anything. But I don't know.
up next we have a GTA 5 DLC pack, essentially just hipster pack they call it. You can design your characters to look like hipsters. Don't really care for this. I mean, I guess it's kind of
There's
cool,
some new
but
game modes, new vehicles. It's
yeah.
just like the other ones that they've been releasing every now and then. I like that they keep releasing this stuff, and all of it's free, which I think is awesome.
Oh, nice.
I still want the heist, though. I probably won't play GTA 5 until they bring the heist, and then I'll probably enjoy all this content. But right now, it's just not enough to draw me back in. But if you're into GTA, then this is awesome. I mean, more free stuff.
Wasn't the heist like supposed to be a big part of the online community, and it just hasn't really arrived
Yeah, it was
yet?
supposed to come out like the first month of release or something like that.
Mhm.
Mm. Hmm.
Yeah, that was the main thing that I was excited for when it came to GTA 5's online, because the single player mode is so focused, and so the heist the centric part of the single player experience. So I was like, okay, more heist, that's going to make me enjoy the GTA 5 online. With me, I currently actually I traded in my GTA 5 from 360 to GameStop because I plan on picking
Yeah,
up the next gen
same with
version.
me.
So I'm hoping that by the time the next gen version comes out, it's released, that they'll have those heists included, or that'll be coming pretty soon, immediately after. So I'll have the opportunity to do that, and then I'll try out all these different packs and everything like that. But
Yeah.
until those heists come, I don't think I would have any interest in playing the GTA 5
I
online.
think it's too late now too, though. Like, I think if they come out with heists when GTA 5 for next gen comes out, then that'll be good because people will be interested again. People will spend a lot of time, and you can transfer your characters, right? I think I heard that. So I think that would really, a lot of people would be interested in heists again. But if they come out with it before or after, I don't know if there'll be that kind of excitement for them.
Yeah, I agree. I think they'd have to release it when like the next gen version comes out to get people excited about it again. And yeah, you can transfer your online player to from either PS3 or Xbox 360 to PS4. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it makes sense because everything's saved on the cloud. I noticed that, like the Rockstar Cloud, they save things there instead of on your console. So when I saw that, I was kind of like, okay, so if they come out with a next gen version,
It's probably a little
yeah, you're
foreshadowing.
probably gonna be able to transfer your character. So I think that's really cool that they thought ahead for that.
Hmm. Next, we have Outlast, the horror game. It's coming out on the Xbox One. I haven't played
Yeah,
it. I
this one
know it.
took people by surprise because I know it's been out for PC and PS4 for a while, but then I think a couple days ago, all of a sudden it just popped up on Xbox Live and you could download it. I think $20. I haven't played it, so
That's awesome. I mean, I like horror games. I'll probably pick it up eventually whenever I get a PS4 or Xbox One, or maybe I'll download it on my PC. But it looks really cool, and I think it's a good move.
yeah.
Yeah, I haven't played the Outlast on any of the previous versions. I may or may not pick it up on Xbox One. I haven't really decided yet, but it did kind of pique my interest to make me say, okay, well, let me look a bit more into this game, and maybe this will be something I pick up after I'm playing the current games I'm playing
It
right
seems
now.
like a game that's gonna be games with gold free soon, so I'll probably wait because I have a feeling sooner or later we'll see that. But yeah, it looks interesting. If
Yeah,
you're into horror, I heard it's great.
I picked it up free with PlayStation Plus back in, I think it was February, and I played about half an hour of it. I just can't do horror games.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
I played a little bit of it at a friend's house, where I was watching him play, and it's pretty scary.
yeah,
But it's tense. I like how you've got the camera instead of a weapon, and you can kind of zoom in with that, and you can use the night vision feature to kind of see what's going on in the dark.
yeah. For people who like horror games, I'm sure it's good, but I just can't get into it.
All right, and lastly for news, Reggie Fils-Aimé, he's the president of Nintendo North America. In an interview with Kotaku, he said that he thinks the Wii U has a number of years left in its lifetime, and he said he thinks the upcoming games, primarily the 2015 releases plus Smash Brothers, will help the console. And I think it's good that he's showing confidence and positivity in the system because we know it's been struggling. And I think the 2015 lineup looks awesome. And I'm glad to see that one of the biggest executives of the company is showing his vote for the
Well,
console.
he has to, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, I think he has to, but I think also, Nintendo. What people don't factor in is the fact that Nintendo is a very wealthy company.
oh yeah,
Okay, unlike Sony, Sony, at this point in time, financially, they're pretty much dependent on the success of the PS4 because their other electronics just don't sell as much as they used to.
yeah. I think they
You
lost like
know,
$1 billion.
I don't have the statistic on hand, but it was a large sum of money that they've lost, and they've continued to post losses, fiscally, for a couple years now. Their other electronics are priced higher than a lot of their competitors, and the Sony brand, particularly in North America, just doesn't mean as much as it used to, except for the PlayStation. So Sony's dependent on that success. Nintendo is a company who, truth be told, the Wii U could bomb and never sell another console. I mean, this year, and Nintendo will still be a financial success and still remain so. They'll remain operating in the black for a number of years to come. So they can support this console, and this is probably an opinion that a lot of people don't share, but okay, I know the Wii U has been out for a year longer than the PS4 and Xbox One, but I have all three consoles, and truth be told, the Wii U has better games than the other two right now. And I mean, and now I'm not saying if they don't necessarily have the most popular games, but top to bottom, the games have been released for the Wii U, as far as just being able to play those games, have an enjoyable experience, and the game being developed with quality, Nintendo those games have that, and I can't really say the same for a lot of the PS4 and Xbox One games so far. I mean, we just talked about the 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 failure, quote unquote, that was Battlefield 4. I mean, it was that was a big headache. There was a lot of issues. You never see Nintendo games being released where functionality just doesn't work the way it's supposed to.
Oh yeah, the Steam Summer Sale is hit. This is my first time participating in it. I know they're always giving out insane discounts, and I've wanted to play The Witcher 1 and 2 before the third one comes out because I'll be definitely picking that up. And I got the first two games for like $6, and it's awesome. I love
Yeah.
it.
Prepared to play a lot of or to buy a lot of games you're never gonna play.
Yeah.
I think that covers it for news, though. Let's move on to topics. So this is the third segment we'll be doing in the show, and basically we're just gonna bring topics to the table to discuss about pretty much whatever. And what we're starting out with this time is a Last of Us sequel. So there isn't one announced. There's no real rumors about one being worked on, but I mean, it was one of the most popular games last year. And what are your guys' thoughts on a Last of Us sequel? Would you play this, or do you think The Last of Us by itself is a good standalone game?
Before we start, just say that there's probably going to be spoilers in this, so anyone who hasn't beaten it, go play it first. And if you don't care about spoilers, then it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. All right, spoiler alert.
I definitely would see myself playing it if a second one came out, but I really wouldn't want it, to be honest, because I think the first one is just such a masterpiece. It's such an incredible game. It's so groundbreaking in so many ways. I think it'd be tough to try and make a second one and continue the story of Joel and Ellie. I mean, I'm sure it'll be amazing, but I just couldn't see them doing a second one.
I think that they should make a second one, and I think my position on this is due to a couple different factors. I like to think about the success of the industry as a whole, and for me, sequels, especially sequels of blockbuster games, sell a lot. And I just hope that I just believe that if a Last of Us sequel were to come out, even if it didn't involve the characters from the first game, if it used some other characters or was some spinoff in some type of way, but it carried that Last of Us name, then that would be something that would really be popular. It would make mean a lot of sales for Sony, and a lot of sales for Naughty Dog, and I just think that opens up Naughty Dog to be able to create some other games, and it just it continues to keep you know the industry exciting. So I'm on board for Last of Us.
Would you want it made by Naughty Dog? Would you want it made by Naughty Dog, or do you think another team could pull that off?
And I think if you do a Last of Us sequel, it has to be made by
Yeah.
Naughty Dog. But when you make a masterpiece like that, you wouldn't want somebody coming behind you and not living up to that standard. I mean, we've seen successes where other companies have come out, other developers have come after the original developer and made some positive games. But I just think most recently I think about Arkham Origins and WB Montreal, following up on Rocksteady's work. And while it was just enough Batman in that game to make it playable and make it interesting enough for me to play through it, it definitely it didn't have the polish, and it didn't have the story wasn't what I would have expected from Rocksteady, and it just did not feel as good as the Rocksteady games in that series have felt. So I think it has to be made by Naughty
Yeah,
Dog.
I agree. If there's going to be another Last of Us, it's definitely going to have to be by Naughty Dog. To your point, though, I think I agree with Brett a little bit more on this one. If a Last of Us did came out, if a sequel, I would buy that day one. I'd play it. I'd probably love it. But the first one was so satisfying that I didn't finish it and be like, all right, where's the sequel? I mean, Tomb Raider. When I beat Tomb Raider, I was like, all right, where's the next one? I want to play the next one. When I beat the Halo games, I'm always waiting for the next one. Even Uncharted. But Last of Us, when I finished that, I mean, I was satisfied. I mean, it was an excellent game. As much as I'd love to see a sequel, I don't think they need one.
Yeah, I agree. Because I'd love for there to be a sequel because the first one was so good. I just don't know how you could top it because the ending didn't really hint at a sequel. The only thing that I think they could do a prequel where they do what happened in between the two, like at the beginning of the game until 20 years later when it picks up.
Am I the only one, though, who doesn't really care for prequels? I kind of like moving forward. Like, some prequels are okay. Like Halo Reach, I thought was a good prequel. There's other good examples of prequels. But like something like The Last of Us, I don't know if I'd really want a prequel. I'd rather just have new characters in a different part of
Yeah.
the country or world or even something like that.
Yeah, I like the point you made, Julius, where you could definitely see a couple spin-offs or a whole new story because that world itself is just so vast and there are so many different opportunities you could create. And I mean, you could feasibly have another Joel and Ellie like character or a totally different story from a different perspective or something. But I just don't see it happening, well, at least right now, because they're working on Uncharted, and that's probably going to be maybe a 2015, 2016 release. So it would take a long time for them to do that. But if it were to happen, I think it'd be excellent, but I just don't want
Yeah,
it.
I think they should like. I wish they made more DLC because there's a lot more stories that they could have told in that same like storyline. Like make DLC for Ish, like where you went go through the sewers. Like
Yeah,
I don't know.
and the DLC that they came out with, the one where you were Ellie, I
Yeah,
thought was
it was
fantastic.
fantastic.
I mean, it wasn't as good as the main game, but I mean, it was great. It was exactly what I wanted in it.
Yeah, I like the part where you had to fight the humans and the clickers at the same time in DLC.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, there's a lot of cool things about that DLC.
But to answer your question, Jake, I don't like prequels at all. So if it is if something else comes out with The Last of Us name, I'd hope it's a sequel or spinoff of some type, a prequel. I've never been a fan of those, whether it's games or movies.
Yeah, I think the best bet with The Last of Us 2 is just new characters. New characters, new setting, uh, but still keep that Last of Us name. And I think with Neil Druckmann writing it, I mean, they could make something. I don't want to say as good as The Last of Us or better, but I mean, they could probably make something pretty close to being on par with it.
Don't get me wrong, I'd rather see a sequel than a prequel because I don't really like those games that much. But I'm just not sure what else they would do unless they started with new characters, like you said.
Yeah. I think that wraps up about that topic, though. So next thing is female in games. This is more your topic, Brett. So why don't you start us out? What do you think about this?
Um, there's been some controversy going around, primarily with Assassin's Creed Unity and how Ubisoft was complaining about the funding it would take to, excuse me, to create female characters, playable characters, or female animations. How it's too much of a hassle for them. But I just don't see that because the game isn't coming out for a number of months, I believe, and I don't, unless I'm not seeing something, I don't think it's that difficult to make female animations or just a female character because it's what people want, and I think it could do really well having a female assassin in a game like that.
So you're talking as like one of the co-op players or something like that being a female?
Yeah, I think the controversy was primarily around the fact that there were four male players
Okay.
and no females, but overall, it's like that could it really was controversial because they're just saying no to females overall, and I think there are plenty of awesome female characters, and I think they really should be included in games, especially big ones like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't make games or anything like that. I feel like they might have a point. Like it may be a lot of work. I don't know if they're gonna have time to add in a new character, but I think it's something that we should definitely see down the pipeline later. Maybe for the next Assassin's Creed, if they're gonna continue with this co-op thing, I think it would be beneficial and more inclusive, honestly, if we had a little diversity with assassins, or maybe like make your own assassin. I think that would be cool.
Yeah, like take a look at Tomb Raider from last year. That game was really good and it had female protagonists. So, and I don't think it could cost that much money extra to do.
Yeah, but Assassin's Creed though is on a yearly basis. They come out with one every year, so I mean it could be tough to get that in, and especially now like it comes out October. They released it a couple years ago, or they announced it a couple weeks ago. So I don't know if it would be possible to do that for this game. But
Yeah, I mean,
sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I like Jake. I don't know. I've never created a game before. But I guess my thing is, even if this is something that does take a lot of additional time or whatever case may be, I think I think developers sometimes, or at least the company, heads of the company, underestimate the fact that there how many female gamers there are. You know, there are so many female gamers out there, and if, even though we have Lara Croft, there that whole group, that whole dynamic of women in gaming, they aren't represented very well. There aren't enough, female protagonists in games, and I think it's not proportional to the number of women who do play video games. Especially, I mean, I look at a series like Call of Duty, what was it? It wasn't Go? Was it Ghost, or was it the
I think it
previous
was
iteration where they
Ghost.
allowed?
Ghost is where they allowed the
Yeah,
female characters.
right. And there are a lot of. I mean, I know a ton of female gamers who play Call of Duty, and and it may be. I'm not saying it's solely because there are women, playable characters in that game. There are plenty of women who played it prior to that, but the fact that they now can play the game and they can have a character that looks like them, I think that you have to have that. I think you have. It's good for diversity, and it's good for inclusion of women, and it's good to support the people, the demographics of people that you have playing those games. So I know maybe it takes a long time. I don't know. I've never created games before, but I think it's something that that needs to happen. Excuse me for saying this, but a female character doesn't need to have dead or alive like tight boobs in order to be in the
Yeah.
game. You know, it seems like hey, you could make the facial features a little different, change some things slightly, and put a female in the game. I don't know.
So, here's a statistic I just pulled up. 45% of gamers are women today. Now, it doesn't specify if that's like casual, like phone or whatever, but that's still a big number regardless. And even when I was up at noon, I think there was about I think there was like 15 people in the audience, and at least a third of them were girls. And I was talking to one of them after, and she was saying pretty much that. Like she said she almost feels underrepresented in a lot of video games because other than like Tomb Raider and Mass Effect, which you could play as femshep, she said there wasn't many. But it sounds like people are pretty confident that we are moving in the right direction. I think this generation it will feature a lot more female protagonists, or even just the option to choose. Excuse me, even the option just to choose whether you want to be a female protagonist or not.
Yeah, like going back to the last one, was take Ellie. Like she wasn't like as much as Joel was in the game and was the primary focus. Ellie was like she was made more of an impact than Joel in that game, so it shows how
Yeah.
they can work really well.
Similar thing with BioShock Infinite. Like you played a male character, but I mean, I think most people think that Elizabeth was probably the star of the character, or the star of the game.
Mm. Yeah, I wrote a piece today on what I want from the new Zelda game, and I thought it'd be really interesting to see a female Link. Now, I know I've heard a couple rumors about this, but I just think it'd be really cool if there were a female Link that was not necessarily carbon copy, but similar to Lara Croft in the previous Tomb Raider game, where they develop from a fearful character and they don't really aren't that powerful, but they eventually grow and develop and adjust into a legitimate protagonist that people remember and really like and appreciate.
Yeah, I read your article, and I agree. I think a female Link would be. I think that would be awesome. I think that would be a good choice. I don't think it'll happen. Like even you look at that picture, I mean, it kind of looked like a girl, but I just have a feeling it's still going to be a guy. But yeah, I think a female Link could be something really cool to explore for a Zelda game in the future. Okay, I do have Phil Fish here. We kind of talked about him earlier. We can talk about him if you want. To be honest, I don't, I don't know if he needs any more attention.
I personally don't really care for him.
Yeah, he's a troll, man. I think I don't understand this guy. He was involved in a very popular game. It was a good game. Everybody liked it. And honestly, I never played Fizz, so I can't say whether I would have enjoyed it or not. But what I saw from it, it looked pretty interesting. But he's been like a big troll on Twitter, especially for he was prior. wasn't it wasn't so long ago that he said, oh, he'd never make a sequel and he wasn't making games anymore, and he quit Twitter before. And I guess I think it was because I follow him on Twitter because I was I was always saying that I was assuming that if he was going to come back and there was going to be a sequel to Fez, and all the trolling he was doing on the Twitter is going to be like, he'll come back and maybe apologize for it, or at least bring back, mention another game. So I've been following him on Twitter. So when I saw him on my timeline, I can't remember what day that was when he made those comments, but I was like, oh, okay, Phil Fish, all right, here he goes again. And it's just trolling, man. I don't know that he needs any more attention than what he's gotten already. It seems like that's what he wants, for people to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel bad for him, because Fez was a good game, and you can tell he really likes making games. He pays a lot of attention to little details. I don't know if you guys watch Indie Game the movie.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that
but
up.
I think as a game designer, he's really good, and I kind of feel bad for him because it kind of seems like he was just kind of thrown under the microscope. And a lot of the things I feel like he said, like, he didn't really say on purpose, like he wasn't trying to be mean, but at the same time, like, some of the stuff he said is like, come on, you gotta connect a little bit to your audience. Like, this is just ridiculous. But yeah, I think people should just stop giving him attention, and then he'd shut up and hopefully make another game.
I mean, hopefully he learns his lesson and can maybe grow out of it and become a better person out of it. But I just think it was a little ridiculous what he said. But it was his opinion. He has every right to say what he said, but I think he crossed the line a little bit, saying how every YouTuber who puts up his stuff should really give everything they earn to him.
Yeah, like you said, it is an opinion. He can say whatever he wants for all I care. I just, like I said, I don't think it's worth giving him attention for his opinion. But it gets press, it gets attention anyway. So, all right. So finally, the last section. This is just plugs. This is what we're working on. Where you can find us, what we're doing. So, Brett, what are you working on this week?
There's nothing really major coming out that I want, and there's nothing really coming out to review. So maybe I'm going to go back to a couple games that were released late last year or early this year, like Super Mario 3D World or The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker in HD. And then maybe I'm going to do a couple personal blogs to get readers more affiliated with myself and let them understand more who I am. Maybe a couple top 10, top 5 opinionated lists, but that's about it.
Yeah, now's a good time to go to that backlog. Not a lot going on, to be honest. Valiant Hearts comes out soon. Planning on getting that and playing that. Besides that, yeah, same. I'll probably just be writing blogs and stuff like that. What about you, Grant? What are you working on?
Still thinking about doing the Watch Dogs GTA comparison. I was out of town last week, so I didn't have time really. So I might do that, and then maybe go to the backlog to review some of those games like you guys said.
All right. We're starting to ramble a little bit here. What about you, Julius? What are you working on?
Okay, I think probably the biggest thing I'm working on is I'm actually talking to a psychologist about the topic of and the whole issue as far as the fanboy wars and the fact how people rage against each other, if whether it's Marvel people, Marvel fanboys versus DC fanboys, but more specifically PlayStation versus Microsoft fanboys, and the rage and the constant, it seems like lately, and it seems like in this generation, it seems like there people spend more time talking about or trying to justify why they like a particular manufacturer, whether it's Sony or Microsoft, than they do actually playing the games. I mean, if you go on any website, the comment section, or if you go on YouTube, the comment section on videos, or or whatever the case may be, you see, I mean, just rage against the other group, I guess you could say, and I mean, I was I'm giving my age away here, but hey, I was definitely along for the ride when it came down to the Genesis versus the Super Nintendo. But the truth of the matter was, you know, I I I um I was a big soldier for my Sega Genesis because that's what I had, and that's what I couldn't afford to go out and get both. And it was a big realization for me the first time. When I think it was my cousin, he got a Super Nintendo for Christmas, and I played Super Nintendo for the first time, and I was playing, Mario, and I was like, wow, Super Nintendo was awesome, and quite honestly, for a while, I didn't want to admit how good it was because I was such a fanboy at that time for Sega, and I think that what I'm trying to do is get into the psychology of what the differences between the two, and just getting that an actual psychologist to give me input on the topic. I think it's going to be pretty interesting. I think it'll make for an article or something that will get some people taking a look at it because you know now that I have I can afford all the consoles and everything. I look at it from the outside looking in. And I'm like, this is kind of stupid to me, And I honestly, I think that even if I couldn't get all the consoles, I think at my age, I feel like I would believe it's stupid. But there are gamers older than me, or from all different types of background that rage, for their console and hate the other one, and so I'm just kind of wondering why. So it'll be a learning experience for me, and it'll be I think it'll make it interesting.
See, I always thought there's like a certain phase that everyone goes through where you just kind of take sides, and like kind of like what you're saying, when you can only afford one or the other, that's usually a good time you take sides. But then, like what you just said, I do know people who are older than I am who are still, who still go on those message boards and be like, "Oh, your console's stupid. Your Xbox One is retarded," or whatever. And honestly, I just think it's a waste of time, waste of energy, waste of time. I forgot who said it, but someone says someone said don't follow the console, follow developers, and that I really liked because I don't have both consoles, but at some point I'll probably get the PlayStation 4. I've got the Wii U right now and the Xbox One, and I think that's probably the best way to look at it. Like, I mean, I'm a huge Naughty Dog fan. I'll play anything that Naughty Dog plays, but I'm also a huge Remedy fan. I'm going to play anything that Remedy makes. So I just think that's a way better way of looking at it, and when you do that, it just makes life a lot easier, I think. I mean, those arguments are just, they drive me nuts.
Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, why argue and bicker over which console is the best? I mean, shouldn't we all be happy that we're getting all these awesome games? I mean, I may have a preference towards one of the three major companies among Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft, but I'm going to play all three. I'm going to enjoy all the games they all put out because developers work hard to make those games, and they want to see us enjoy those games, and I really could care less which one's better as long as it has the fun game.
I agree. Do you have anything to add, Grant?
Well, I mean, the console wars I don't think are justified. You can voice your opinion and say which one you think is better, but you don't have to argue with other people about it.
Yeah, I think that's all that needs to be said about this. Anyway, so that has been episode number 2 of AlphaCast. You can follow Brett at Brett Woodmansey. You can follow Julius at Respected Genius, and you can follow Grant at IceDJ Gaming. You can follow me at Jacob Deck, all on Twitter, of course. Thank you, and we will see you next time.